DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Mary Yerina.
And Mary, it's movie time. You know, you brought me a strange one.
In title and in production.
Yeah, Strange World. It's a Disney.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And what makes it Disney?
It's animated.
I got it.
And I think the attempt was made to have it not only amaze you with its animation, but to touch you with its story.
Yes. And is it a touching story?
It tried to be.
Okay.
I think in this case, there's been a lot of hype about this film. One is, and it's because it tanked at the box office. It opened Thanksgiving weekend. You would think a family-focused animated film from Disney would do quite well. But there's been some controversy surrounding it in terms of, did Disney market this film enough and appropriately?
I think they didn't. Yes.
Yeah, and the reasons for that have led to some controversy and hype in the media. So one of the reasons I suggested we see this film was to see what all that hype was about, and whether or not, at its core, is it the film? Because Lightyear was released earlier this year and did not do well.
Right.
Even though it was on the coattails of the Toy Story series of films, and in this case it's a completely original work. So what's all the fuss about?
And just to partner on what you have said, I've heard that they backed away from marketing because they thought they had a loser and they just weren't going to pump it up. And at least as you say, there was controversy about it, and for a Disney film it's probably not good.
Probably not good, especially given, for over 50, close to 100 years, approaching 100 years, we've been trained to expect a certain standard from Disney, and I think also a certain standard from the Disney studio known as Pixar. And I felt when I started watching this film, one, it clearly borrows from Up. You open with the backstory and these sepia-toned scenes that are trying to set up the dynamics of the intergenerational relationships that are to come in the film. And unfortunately, in this case, the characters don't really, in that opening sequence, you understand the dynamics, but you don't understand the hearts.
Yeah.
And in Up, you had an opening sequence of almost 10 minutes where nothing was spoken, but you understood the heart of the characters. And I think that's really what's missing in this film, as we follow the Clater family into adventures and quests, and the intergenerational relationship between Yeager Clater, who's voiced by Dennis Quaid, and his son Jake Searcher Clater.
Okay, so you're putting an R on the last name.
Oh, Clade, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We need to re-record that.
Let's just go back to a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll edit this out.
Yeah.
So we have Yeager Clade, the father,
Right.
who's the adventurer, to the extent that he's so focused that that's all he focuses on is his adventure.
There is that intergenerational, which I really think is a major theme here.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
conflict between him and his son,
Searcher.
the Searcher. But it's pretty facile when you think about it.
Yes.
Because then we lose Dad for 25 years.
We do. And you don't know what's happened to him, but you do know what's happened to Searcher, who has discovered this plant that enables their land of Avalonia to move from being pre-industrial age to industrial age. They now have energy. They have power.
Yes.
And he becomes a hero in his own right, just like his dad was a hero, because his dad was trying to get beyond the mountains of their land to see what was beyond. And I think the problem is that, and maybe it has to do with the gender, but I felt like the conversations that set up the dynamic between Yeager and Searcher are very shallow and don't go very deep. And maybe that's the way men really are, but it doesn't work in a film.
Well, yeah, and they do have a good setup because Dad, voiced by, very well, I thought, by Dennis Quaid,
Yes.
is an explorer and hardly attached to any of the virtues that I think Disney is trying to put across about conservation. And the son, voiced by Jake Gyllenhaal, again, their voices are terrific in this film. He's a stay-at-home, and really, like many sons, does not want to be like his dad.
Right.
And there are moments in this animation where he realizes he is more like his dad than he would like to think.
Which I think is the mass realization we all have.
I know.
But again, there was no emotional pull behind the realization. And so the film really acts depth, because we do come back to, for reasons that create a quest of Jaeger and Searcher coming together again. But now we have Searcher's son, Ethan.
The grandson.
Yes.
Oh.
And
don't you think he's a combo of the two, of Dad and
he
Grandpa?
certainly is. He's also biracial because Searcher's wife is black.
Another,
Searcher is white.
Yeah.
And I did like that they treated the different races of the people. The governor of Avalonia is female and appears to be non-white or biracial. It's never really clearly identified that I recall. And then you also have Ethan, who is in the LGBTQ community. They introduce that he has his first crush on a friend, DeSando. And I like the fact that they just handled these all very matter-of-factly.
Yeah.
They didn't make a big deal of any of them, but I do think it may come as a surprise for people who may take younger children to see the film, if they are concerned about that or have a different worldview about that.
The Ethan character is the first time that Disney has ever had anybody come out and gay.
Yes.
And this is, as you were saying, yes. And probably the only way they can handle it is by not paying attention to it, but just letting it.
Just let it be, because that's the way it exists in the world, and that's the way it exists in this world.
And he's a cute character with the dimples. And my gosh, he is really.
Who, DeSando or Ethan?
Ethan, right. You know, DeSando, they got a little stereotyping on DeSando, but but still, it's handled so well, and that it does take you a moment to realize, my goodness, this is Disney.
Yes. And
while there'd be nothing salacious about it, it just is a little bit shocking for a very straightforward conservative film company. This is, and I think, Mary, maybe from your introductory comments, this is one of the reasons that people are staying away.
Well, the conservative media have certainly portrayed it that way, and have certainly portrayed it as, see, this is what you get when you, you know, try and do this in media, and you Disney are being punished for this, is kind of the tone of the conservative media. And I think that's a little unfair. I think when a film doesn't do well at the box office or do well on streaming ratings, it's a complex issue of that. For example, Disney, which is undergoing a CEO change again, position this film between Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Avatar, The Way of Water. And so it's in a place where they're not going to promote it as well as those other two films.
Sure.
And they also made a decision to take it into theaters when I think the animation of it certainly warrants it. The world that they create in this strange world
visually beautiful.
As they go on this quest to find out why Pondo, this agricultural energy source that Searcher discovered, why it's dying.
And apparently Disney owns Pandora.
Oh, well, there you go. But they go on this quest, which is how they reunite with Jaeger, and you have all those elements of a traditional story, but I lost my train of thought.
Well, we've got a lot of Jules Verne here.
Yes, we do.
Going toward the center of the earth. And you're reminding me that 3 of the, well, how would you say, ethnically centered films, Mulan, Moana, and what's what I have third, and Canto, are all very firmly placed in their own cultures.
Yes.
So cross-culturing like this, with multinational characters, is a bit of again.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
And not common for a Disney film to not have that anchor. So we don't have an anchor of culture. We don't have an anchor of a heroine or a hero. Because it's intergenerational, you have 3 characters, none of which hold the center of the film, which I think makes it challenging as well. But from an animation standpoint, it is beautiful. This film cost $180 million to make.
Can you stop there? Because
well, that's just to make.
We're gonna take this to Back Talk.
Okay.
And that's where people can hear more about what we have to say about this slightly controversial film, and called Strange World. And Mary, what would you advise our audience?
I think it's a film that's worth seeing, but perhaps wait till you're streaming it on a very large screen TV so that you can so appreciate the beauty of the animation of The Strange World.
Yes, and I can see you stopping and explaining to your kids what's going on. I think it's a very good teaching moment.
Absolutely.